Hi, it's Mike Metcalf again here with Lanark Equipment in Perth, and I'm here today to talk to you about the BX23S. This is Kubota's smallest TLB, tractor loader backhoe, in the lineup, and this is really, for lack of a better term, it's the bread and butter of Kubota. This is one of the most popular units for a reason. This covers everybody from the very small property owner, even if you're down to less than an acre, all the way through to small hobby farms and even estate owners. It's a great package because it's such a small footprint that you can get it into the small horse barn to get out manure and clean up things like that. It's small enough that you can cut your grass with it. It's handy enough that it'll still take the snowblower, and because of the popularity of the subcompact tractor, which really Kubota created this market, every manufacturer and their brother is making an implement to match this size of tractor. So again, even for that horse farmer, I can even get a small manure spreader available to fit this tractor. So it covers a lot of bases. It works at cottages. I've seen people do small landscaping jobs, and really, if you're tired of using a shovel and you're tired of using a wheelbarrow, this is the product for you. It is the all-in-one tractor. You've got the lifting on the front, the digging on the back, and a whole slew of implements to cover you right from summer all the way through to winter. And this is the powerhouse I think everybody would work well with. So starting at the front of the machine, we're starting with a 48-inch bucket. And this particular bucket was brought in with a skid steer quick attach style hitch. So again, for changing things out, it's 2 levers. Swap out your implement for pallet forks, for a grapple if you had the third function valve to run it, snow blades, snow pushers, lots of different things that we can put on the front here, and being able to put that on quickly makes it so that you actually want to change that implement out and take on that project. Another thing that we want to look at here is this bucket is pre-drilled to take a cutting edge. And this is something I recommend for most tractors that have the option for it. So again, that we've got something on here that you can wear out and replace without ever damaging the front edge of your bucket, which would then require welding in a whole new edge. So with a very, very small investment, you can have a hardened steel cutting edge installed on the front of your bucket, which would give you that much more life out of the bucket, and even make things like grading your driveway that much easier, as that cutting edge will stick a little bit proud of the edge of the existing bucket to allow you to really dig in and get that cutting going. If you are to add a third function valve, it's conveniently located right on the crossbar here, so you can again hook up any of those extra implements that require that hydraulic power all right here from the front end. It's a single piston push loader, and the specs on this, just like many of Kubota products, if we take the model number of the loader, which is an LA340, that is its lifting capacity in kilograms, measured just behind your bucket at the pivot pin, giving us roughly about a 750-pound lift at the pivot pin. One thing you could look at doing is, if you don't think that implements on the front end are something that you'll ever need for your application, you can actually opt for a pin-on bucket, and what that will give you is the bucket will sit slightly tighter to the loader brackets themselves and give you about an extra 50 pounds of lift capacity. So depending on the type of job that you're doing, there's lots of different ways that we can customize this to make sure that it suits, and even a few of our customers even add hooks onto the outside edges of the bucket, so if you needed to hook a chain on or something like that, we can weld those right in for you here at Lanark Equipment so you get the most out of your product. Okay, so right on the front end here, there's a few things that we can talk about. One thing that is a great option for people to add, especially if you're doing grading or scraping or anything like that on the front end, is the optional rod level indicator. And what that gives you is a visual aid right from the operator platform, so you know exactly when your bucket is level to the ground. And sometimes that comes really handy. Again, if you're trying to scrape into some sod or anything like that, it's nice to know where your bucket is sitting without having to try to lean out to the side to see what angle the cutting edge is at. Then when we move back from there, we've also got your grill guard here. This is designed for people that, well, like me, quite frankly, that are paying attention to the bucket, but not necessarily how close the tractor is getting to something. And this just gives you a protection to the front end of the hood, so that if you do happen to touch something, you're not doing any damage to the hood up here. This is designed to take a hit and protect the front end of the engine compartment. When we need to do any kind of service or anything like that, it swings out nice and easy to give us better access to the hood. And again, when this swings open, so that we don't hit any of the front end plastic here or the metal hood on the grill guard when we open that. And it's very easy to reach. You can get into everything right here. There's a latch. You just push that out or pull it if you're on that side of the tractor, swing this out gently, and now we've got complete access to the engine compartment. This is a 3-cylinder, 23 horsepower diesel engine made by Kubota. And when I say made by Kubota, I don't just mean the engine, I mean the entire tractor. They have designed and engineered and manufactured this entire product from front to back. That gives you consistent quality control, and it gives you an engine designed specifically with the transmission and with this tractor in mind to give you the best performance and the best longevity long term. And I would argue it even gives you the best resale value, as everything's going to run that much better for the test of time. There's lots of access to all the stuff that you're going to be needing on your daily checks and service points. Air filters, nice and easy to get at right at the top here. You've got your rad, a rad screen that's easy to remove and keep clean, especially if you're using this product to cut your grass. You want to make sure that's nice and clean, as we don't want anything to get too hot. We've got your engine oil fill right here on the top, coolant, oil check on the side. Everything is really easy to get at, and all just with one opening here. We don't need to remove any other panels or anything else to get to anything. It's all easy access. Oftentimes when we're selling these tractors, we like to include a block heater. These tractors are great in the snow, and even with just the glow plugs, any Kubota tractor will start at any point in the winter. But by having that block heater in there, you just make it a little bit easier on the engine, and again, to get that much more life out of your tractor, it's always best to get all the proper products, and certainly a block heater would help with that. When you're done doing any service points or checking anything in the engine compartment, just give it a close down, everything latches into place, and just remember to swing your grill guard back into place to protect your front end so that you're ready to start your job. All right, so one thing that we want, well, not just one thing, many things that we want to talk about on the BX23S is the operator platform. Everything on here is designed for your comfort and productivity. Your light cluster, so your turn signals, your headlights, your hazard lights if you need to go down the road, all in one convenient location. Right next to that, we've got a tilt steering here so that you can really customize the angle, so that again, depending on where your seat is at, you've got comfort to reach the steering wheel and have control over your piece of equipment. On the right hand side, there's even a cruise control. So if you're doing a really long snow blowing job, or you're just taking the garbage down to the end of the driveway in the bucket, you can lock in that cruise control, and you don't even have to keep your foot on the hydrostatic pedal. A hydrostatic transmission, for those that aren't aware, for lack of a better term, an automatic transmission. It means that we don't have to press a clutch every time we want to move and change speed or anything like that. There's no gears to have to find or lock in. Basically, I've got a high and a low range right here on the right hand side. High range is going to be for speed, low range is going to be for torque. And the hydrostatic pedal itself is infinitely variable, which means even if I've got the engine throttle completely cranked and the engine is just screaming away because I'm operating the loader or backhoe or whatever it happens to be, when I want to move the tractor, if I just touch that pedal gently, I'm only going to creep ahead regardless of what the engine speed is doing. This gives you complete control over the speed of the equipment, which comes in really handy, especially when you're doing front end loader work. Again, comparing to an older style tractor or a gear drive tractor, that becomes very difficult, because on a gear drive, when you try to get up to that set of pallet forks or to get up to something that you're loading, you're either constantly riding the clutch or you're riding the brake, and in either way it makes it incredibly awkward to do something with finesse and control. With a hydrostatic transmission, I can literally go at a snail's pace and come right up to something. I'm not riding a clutch, which is a wear point and needs to be replaced at some point or serviced. I can just creep up and have complete control over the tractor. Another benefit of the hydrostatic transmission is from a safety perspective. A hydrostatic transmission uses an oil pump and oil flow to move you forward and reverse. And the benefit of that is when you let off of the transmission pedal, the tractor will stop. Even on grades, if I let off this pedal, the tractor will slow itself down and stop. I don't need to worry about jumping on the brake or dropping the loader in an emergency situation, because when most people get into an emergency, the first thing they think to do is let go of everything. And in this situation, that will actually help you. The transmission will slow itself down on steep hills, on small grades, and on flat, it will stop it dead and prevent you from rolling away. It is a far superior transmission, makes it so that anybody can operate this tractor. This isn't just for the initiated. This is for everybody. Even if you've only ever run a little lawn tractor, to be able to jump on this, there's really no difference. It's still just forward and reverse. There's nothing else to learn. So if you're comfortable cutting your grass on a little lawn tractor, you will absolutely feel confident running the BX23S to take on those larger projects. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the controls in the operator platform here. The one that comes first to mind is the one that's sticking up the tallest here. This is your loader valve. This comes standard installed right from Kubota at the factory. So the only part that we have to worry about is just testing it and making sure it's good to go. But everything here is factory installed. What's nice about the Kubota loader, especially on the BX23S, a couple things. One, there's a sticker right at the back of the loader. So again, if you forget what something does, there's a sticker there to remind you. And something that you'll notice about the Kubota loader, which is not common to every tractor in this class, is that we have more than one function at a time. Most tractors can lift up, they can lower, they can curl, and they can dump. But the benefit of the Kubota valve system is that we can even work the corners on this loader, which means that we can lift and dump at the same time. We can lower and curl, or different variations thereof, again, so that you increase your productivity and you can do more than one thing at once. Another thing that's very nice about this loader is its float function. So if you're going to be using your bucket to do some grading or anything like that, or even when you mount a snowblower, the hydraulic system runs off this as well, you've got your down, but past that is a detented position, and that's what gives you float. And for those that are unaware, a float allows the weight of the loader to bring it down to the ground without down pressure. So if you're using it to back drag some gravel in your driveway or something like that, it means it's not digging in, it's just using the weight of the loader to sort of help brush that or comb that out to give you a better grade, much easier than if you're digging into the gravel and aggregates that were there to begin with. To get it out of float, just a quick tap back, and you're back in regular operating position where you have force from the hydraulics applied to the loader. Moving from that, we have this tiny little guy right down here. And all this does is it's a mechanical lock for the loader. So if you were, say, having your kids running around and you were worried about somebody possibly getting into harm or anything like that, you just move this into the lock position, and because it's a mechanical lock, it physically prevents this loader valve from being actuated. So that way you can try, but nothing's going to happen on the front end. Again, just giving you a little bit of peace of mind if small hands are running around your operation. In the same sort of pack here, we've also got our 2-range hydrostatic transmissions. We have a high range and a low range. We have access to your 2- and 4-wheel drive system, so it's just a quick push down. You're in 4-wheel drive, back is for 2-wheel drive. And right here we also have our 3-point hitch raise and lower. Now I say 3-point hitch raise and lower, but it is also tied into the mid system as well. So if you were to equip this with a mid-mounted mower, you would be able to raise and lower that mower right from the same valve. So it makes it very easy to understand all the different controls for the different projects you're trying to do. That's all on your right-hand side, located right in front of your diesel fill, and make sure you only put diesel in this, otherwise you'll be calling us for a service call. On your left-hand side, we've got your PTO controls. The outside yellow lever, and it's yellow to differentiate it from transmission or 3-point hitch or your loader valve, so you know that this is something that's going to be spinning. The yellow brings your attention to the fact that it's cautioning you you're about to get something going, and you want to always be aware when you're doing that. But the outside lever gives you 3 different selection points. We can run just the mid-mounted mower, we can run just something on the rear, whether that were to be a post hole digger or even a snowblower. But we also have a selection here in the middle where you can run both. So if you were to set this up with a front-mounted snowblower and say a rear salter, now you can be blowing snow and laying salt all at the same time. So these selections just tell the tractor which one we're going to turn on. But this is where the business happens. When we put this down into operate, something is turning. So this selects and this engages. And you always want to make sure that when you're done operating whatever implement you're running, that you bring this back to the neutral position. Oftentimes we have people, when they're getting on and off the tractor, perhaps a coat or a pant pocket or something will catch this lever, or perhaps they shut the tractor off when the lever was on, and then they wonder why the tractor won't start again. It's just a safety to make sure that the tractor starts without implement starting as well. So if this is in the on position, the tractor will not start. So it's a great place to look if you're wondering why my tractor won't start. there's a good chance it's right here. Just bring that back to the neutral position, fire it up, and that's all for your safety. There are a few other safety locations as well. There's a safety sensor in the seat. So if you were to be operating something and perhaps fell off the tractor, that tractor is going to shut right down because it wonders where the operator is. So it senses your presence, and again, that's for your safety. There's also a safety in the hydrostatic transmission. So if you had your foot on the transmission and tried to start the tractor, same thing, it's going to say no go, because it doesn't want to start and immediately start moving, as someone could get hurt with that. So certainly those are a lot of the components you want to be aware of and will help you in your operation, but it's certainly not everything we have to offer. We come to this very, very high-end and comfortable seat. It's got built-in armrests right on the side for operator comfort. And one thing I really love about it is it's also a reclinable seat. So you can set the seat wherever you like it, especially if you want to lay it back a little bit and catch some shut-eye under the shade. It's all right there for your adjustment. And speaking of the seat, this is a seat that spins to get us into the backhoe position for that work as well. So we can certainly show you that here. What I like to do is I like to bring that recline all the way ahead. That way when I spin the seat, I've got the most clearance I can get between the roll bar. And then right here, we've got this bar that says pull up on it, which makes life very, very easy, is we just pull that right up, and the springs inside actually bring the seat right up. I'm not yanking or twisting or pulling anything. Just let the seat do the work for you. Once it's in this position, I like to grab it top corner, bottom corner, and that allows me, now, sorry, gotta start that one again, is I like to get it top corner and bottom corner and give it a good spin. Okay, it doesn't need a lot of force. Most of the stuff on this tractor, you should be able to do without force. If you've really got to lean into something, you want to check what you're doing and make sure that you're in the right position. But everything should be nice and smooth. Once you've got it here, we just want to drive it ahead, as there's a receiving bar at the backhoe to lock that seat in to make sure that it's where it needs to be and keep you safe. And then all we can do at this point, lock that recline right back again, get your armrest down, and now you're ready to start digging. So now that we've got the seat in the backhoe position, we're going to talk a little bit about the rear end. Now, one thing I would like to point out is that being the BX23S model, this is how it comes from factory: tractor, loader, and a backhoe. But that doesn't mean it can't be used as a regular tractor. When we remove this backhoe, you might even be able to see here that we already have the lift arms there to take a 3-point hitch kit. And when we install the 3-point hitch kit, this becomes very similar to the comparable BX2380, which is the non-backhoe version in this lineup. And it's one thing I do like to point out to people, because if you even think you need a backhoe, certainly the BX23S is the way to go, because this is how it comes. If you were to buy the 2380, the only downside is that we can't add the backhoe after the fact. And the reason is it has a different seat, it's a different roll bar, and a slightly different rear end that takes that backhoe. So certainly that's something you want to figure out ahead of time to make sure that you're happy with your product and that you get the most out of it. So with that aside, we'll get right into the nitty gritty here. One thing you might notice here is a receiver for a slow moving vehicle sign. And part of the reason why it's here is so that if you want to take this down the road with maybe a snowblower on and your backhoe is off, you still need to have a slow moving vehicle sign to go down the road. So if we take it off of the backhoe, now it's on the back of the tractor with a 3-point hitch implement, however you need to do it. But if you want to go down the road with the backhoe, just quick pop up, and there's a receiver on the backhoe as well to take that, so that you make sure that cars behind you know you're moving slowly. The good news with the Orange is it does stand out, but you still want to make sure you're legal and you don't want to have any of those MTO guys bothering you in your work. To get onto the backhoe, it's a nice and easy step. There's a step here right in front of the stabilizer that's nice and heavy duty, even for a big guy like me. I can swing myself up and over right onto the platform, and I'm ready to go to work. Again, everything is reachable, even for a small tractor. I'm not quite 6 feet tall, but I still have lots of headroom to the roll bar. I've got great access to the controls here, and I'm in a comfortable seated position with my back upright. So again, it's great if you got to work long hours. And with a BX, that's the thing. Whether it's a small job or even a really big job, this guy will do it as long as you got the time to do it. I've even had customers being able to take out roots that weighed almost as much as the tractor, because they were very creative with how they used the backhoe and rolled that stump out. Don't get me wrong, they had a pretty big hole by the time they were done, but the point is that the tractor did the job, and that's what really matters when you're making this kind of investment. You want to know that it's going to tackle the big and the small to cover everything on your property. So you've got your two main controls right here, and that runs your main lift and your boom, your dipper and your bucket. You've got your stabilizers right here. And as I mentioned on the front end with the loader, there's even a series of stickers right here on the backhoe so that you know exactly what each valve does. So even if you're completely brand new to equipment or you're extremely experienced, you can jump onto this product and know exactly what you're doing. So another thing that we want to talk about is how much you can customize this tractor. There's so many different companies doing things for it, including Kubota, to make this product exactly what you need it to be. We've talked about the cutting edge option on the front. We've talked about the rod level indicator, even the third function valve to operate some of those hydraulic implements. But what we haven't talked about is tires. This tractor can be brought in with turf tires, industrial tires, or what's called an R14 tire, which is basically a hybrid of the two. I am a big fan of turf tires. Turf tires are excellent if you're cutting your grass, if you're on the hard packed pavement, if you're in the gravel, and surprisingly to many people, the turf tires are actually the best in the snow for more than one reason. One, the rubber seems to stay even soft in extreme cold temperatures, which is fantastic. It makes it almost like a snow tire in that it still has some give to maintain your traction in very, very cold climate. It also gives you a smooth profile. So again, if you're running on harder ground, flat surfaces, you don't have any bumping or anything like that you would get in like an ag tire with the chevrons rolling over each other. So it's a very, very comfortable ride. You get lots of rubber on the ground. And again, back to the snow thing, if you ever had to put chains on the tires, you get the benefit of the whole chain on the profile of the tire. When you put chains on an industrial or even in an R14 tire, many of those chain lugs are going to be sitting in the low part of the lug and you're not going to necessarily get the full benefit of that. So from an all-around tire perspective, I'm a big supporter of the turf tire, even though it surprises a lot of people. But where you're going to go with an industrial or an R14 tire is if you find that you're going to be getting into things like muddy situations, mucky situations, anything where what you're going through has the potential to pack into the treads, because you want to have that fall away again to make sure that you maintain your traction. So really the only place a turf tire I find is going to fail is going to be in those super, super wet situations, because the material will pack into the treads and now you're riding on mud balloons basically. But for most situations you're going to go with a turf. But if you need that little bit of extra grit because you're getting into some mud or muck, or you want a little bit more protection, certainly an R14 or an R4, which is known as an industrial, are options that we can look at as well. Another thing that we like to do on our tractors is loading the tires. Even though this tractor's got a backhoe on it, because it's got the ability to remove the backhoe, we want to make sure that our customers are safe. So by loading the tires, it just allows you to get a little bit more out of the front end while your back end stays on the ground. I also recommend either a ballast box or something like a tool like a grading scraper, box scraper, to give you as much weight back there as possible. It makes you more stable, it makes you heavier, lowers your center of gravity, and in every way is going to increase your productivity. So those are certainly things we like to recommend. And that's just part of the customization. Many of our customers like to add a canopy to the top, get themselves out of the sun, especially if they're working outside for many hours, or if you just, you're going to be out there when it's raining, it gives you a little bit of protection. And even some of the aftermarket cabs on the market will build themselves off of that canopy kit. So if you're thinking of putting on a soft cab in the winter, having canopy on there is going to be the first step in doing that. We can also add lights to the roll bar. We can have lights that face forward. We can have lights that face backwards. We can get LED bar lights. There's really no shortage of customization we can do. Our technicians here at Lanark Equipment are excellent at coming up with solutions, especially creative ones. So if there's something you've got in mind for a very specific lighting project or anything like that, let us know. Let us come to the party with something for you and make something that's truly just for you. You can add toolboxes or anything like that you can think of. There's lots and lots of tools that we can change that out, and certainly that doesn't end there. Even something as simple as your backhoe bucket. This tractor comes standard with a normal toothed trenching bucket, which is great for trenching small electrical water projects. That's definitely going to get you down below the frost and beats the heck out of a shovel, I gotta tell you. One thing that we have a lot of customers needing to do is removing small stumps. There are many products that we can actually take that bucket off and replace it with basically a serrated blade that you can then go underground and cut a root system away before trying to pop the stump. So the customizations aren't just lights and tires. Even on the actual bucket itself, there's lots of things we can do to make sure that this is customizable for you. So thanks for coming out and watching our video on the BX23S. Again, I hope you found a lot of information here that you didn't find elsewhere. I hope it was helpful in your decision-making process to make sure that you get the right product for your projects. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. My number is 613-264-0485. That's the same number for service and parts, so even if you have those kinds of questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're at 6253 Highway 43 in Perth, right between Perth and Smiths Falls. And if you like these videos and certainly want to see more, please hit like and subscribe and send us a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer everyone.